This is Coach Lee, and I'm going to show you how to avoid pushing your ex away. And I'm assuming you want to get back together with your ex, and so you don't want to push them away. But these are things people do without knowing they're pushing their ex away. And a lot of times they think that by doing these things, they're actually bringing their ex closer. So let's get started. The first way you push your ex away is by ignoring them. And I talk about this a lot because some people who don't know what they're talking about will tell you, ignore your ex when they reach out. But they actually don't understand simple human nature. So put yourself in the position of someone who's broke up with another person. You've probably been there. If there is silence and you don't hear from them for a while and you begin to doubt your decision of breaking up with them, do you think that that person might be a little bit irritated with you or upset at you? The possibility probably goes through your mind. And so when you think that's the case, usually you will try to casually, with small talk, small steps, try to see how open they are to having a conversation with you. It's unlikely you will just jump into conversations about the relationship and maybe starting it again. You don't want to be rejected. And so you just want to kind of check on them and see if they're even willing to have a conversation with you, talk to you about this, to see how open they are, or if they just hate you. Nobody's perfect. And your ex thought they didn't see a future with you, but now they've actually learned a very valuable lesson, hopefully, and that is that they think they want you back in their life and they're just trying to find their way. And so they reach out. How are you doing? What's going on? I saw something, made me think of you, and reach out. They're not sure what to do. There's no manual that we're all given when we're children about if you break up with your ex and want them back, this is what you do. And so they're just thinking, well, let me see if they'll even talk to me first. And so they reach out. How's your week been? Something like that. And so when these other coaches say ignore them until they ask to get back together, it's terrible advice. It's unbelievably bad advice because this person will likely assume you don't want to talk to them, that you hate them, and there's no hope. And so they've kind of gotten used to the silence, and even though it's been bothering them, now they figure that the best thing they can do is just try to move on. They'll talk to their friends about it. The friends will say, yeah, if this person is not talking to you, they're done. And they will try to move on. And this whole time, they're wanting to interact. They're possibly wanting to get back together. They're not sure, but they sure feel like it. And you have ignored them. So they're going to get a negative from that. And most of us, when we bang our heads against the wall, when it hurts, we stop. Nobody wants to be rejected, especially a second, third time. And so I wish I could share these things, but I don't violate the privacy of my clients. I wish I could share how many times I have heard, I saw a video that told me to ignore him, and I did. Now it's been 3 months and I haven't heard back. What's happened? He thought she wouldn't talk to him. He doesn't want to be rejected again. He's human. If you prick him, does he not bleed? Just like she wouldn't want that rejection and would probably stop after just one time. He's very similar. And so she hadn't heard from him. Of course she hadn't. She ignored him. She basically said, I'm not interested. Not even going to talk about it. Not even going to have a conversation with you about it. What are his options at that point? So don't ignore your ex. I'm certainly not saying that you say, I'm so glad you reached out to me. I've missed you so much. It's been a dark day that has lasted forever without you or something like that. But just responding casually. If they say, how's your week been? It's been great. Hope you've had a good week as well. Something like that. You don't have to tell them that your life is the best it's ever been. And I don't suggest that. But don't ignore your ex if you want to get back together with them. This is so basic. Number 2 of how people push their ex away is similar, but people fall for it a lot. And that is to be mean or cold towards your ex. And people will even tell me in coaching calls, they said something to their ex. And I'll say, well, that was kind of mean. Well, I want him to know that he hurt me. Or they'll say, well, I'm just trying to get my power back. They don't fully understand how to get their power back. This is not the way, because by being mean, you actually show that they are the ones getting to you, that this whole situation is still impacting you, and you're responding actually out of pain, because anger and attacks come from pain. They are basically covering pain, but they start with pain. So you actually, not only do you show your ex that they are still impacting you so much, which feeds their power and makes them less likely to feel that they have to do anything to get you back, because they just assume that you were being so impacted by this that you could be gotten back pretty easily. But it also pushes them away because they don't want to be around you and interact with you if you're going to be mean to them. Think about that. If someone's mean to you, do you think, ooh, I want to call them because I want someone to be mean to me? That's usually when we avoid people. So the question is, do you want your ex to avoid you? If you don't want to get back together with them, then yes, you do. But if you do want to get back together with them, you don't want them to avoid you. You don't want them to think, I would reach out because I'm missing them. And I'm thinking maybe I want to get back together, but they're so mean. What a horrible situation you would put yourself in. So don't be mean to your ex. Don't be cold. If you have been, then you need to go to my website, myexbackcoach.com, and look up clean slate message. So just type it into the search box, clean slate message, and read what you need to do. It's actually very important how it's worded. So read that document before you reach out to your ex to apologize. The third thing people do to push their ex away is that they stay in contact. Because if your ex wanted to break up with you and you were still there, sometimes they start to feel like they're not getting the breakup. They're not getting what they want. And so you become a source of annoyance. You become a nuisance to them. And they will try to get even further away from you. And so you're pushing them away because they're moving further away because they wanted to break up with you and you're not allowing it, which means they don't actually get to experience the negatives of the breakup. But also now they feel that you are in the way of them getting what they want. And you don't want to be that at all. Because then they see what they want as not being you, but on the other side of you. If they could just get you to leave them alone, then they could get what they want. Do you see how you don't want your ex thinking that about you or feeling that towards you? It's very important. Before I get to number 4, subscribe to this channel so you can be notified when I have more videos like this. And that includes videos on breakups, relationships, attraction, and mindfulness. A fourth way I'm going to mention that people push their ex away is by showing pain. And what I mean by that is not that you can't experience pain, but if your ex is reaching out to you or has to interact with you because you work with them or you go to school with them or something like that, and whenever they interact with you, you show them how hurt you are, or you tell them, or you cry, you become emotional. Whereas I sympathize with you feeling those things, wanting to express those things. What happens is it's similar to the last thing I mentioned. It actually makes it where they don't want to be around you at all because they feel guilty. Watching someone hurt is painful, and you may think, well, they deserve it. I'm not saying whether they do or they don't. I'm just telling you it's actually a negative that will make them not want to be around you. And it's really that simple. And if they are an emotionally healthy person, then they will hurt for you, which is a negative. And sometimes people can start blaming the other person for their pain. It's like, I see you hurt, and that makes me hurt, and I'm tired of hurting. And then they'll start thinking, you should accept what they say, you should try to move on. And it's this odd rabbit hole that happens in the mind of your ex that you just don't want to happen. And so initially, showing pain makes sense. Pushing back when they first break up with you and telling them that you think you two are great together and that you want to be with them, but if this is what they want, that you'll accept it as best you can. That's normal, and that won't hurt you. It's when you continue to do those things and continue to show pain that you can push your ex away. And so you just don't want to do that. Before I mention the last thing, get information on my emergency breakup kit. It's the culmination of my 20 years in the relationship coaching service, and it's a powerful guide to help you get your ex back. And if you're married, check out my emergency marriage kit. I link to it in the description below, or you can go to myexbackcoach.com and you can click on the link to get more information about those 2 kits. The 5th way people push their ex away without even knowing it is they try to make them jealous. Usually they've heard somebody say this and it sounds good. Yeah, go be with somebody else and they'll want you back. And sometimes, in a minority of cases, it can work that way, but oftentimes it's just temporary. But what it can do a lot of the time is it can make them feel like you're trying to make them jealous. You're trying to manipulate them. You're trying to really stick it to them. And it can blow up in your face. And then there are some people who think, oh, well, they're already with somebody else. And so they don't get to experience the breakup in a way that gives them a path back to you. And what I'm saying is that if they think you're already taken, it can actually help them move on because they just assume it's a dead end. And it may be painful to start with for them. But if you do it before they are experiencing the loss, it won't make them feel the loss. They won't care. And so it's tricky business. I don't encourage you to try to make your ex jealous as a strategy. Now, if you choose for yourself, after a time that you have given yourself to heal, because if you jump back out there too soon after a serious relationship, you actually program yourself to not be able to be in committed relationships, or at least you hurt your ability to function in committed relationships because you just jump back out there after the end of one instead of mourning it, and instead of taking time for yourself to reflect and heal and to where you are ready. If you can just jump back in too quickly, in a lot of ways it makes me question how committed you were to that relationship, because there should be a time of mourning, just like when you lose someone to death. I'm not saying it's forever or even very long, usually 2 or 3 months, where you make a decision. I'm not going to date for 2 or 3 months. I'm going to give myself time. I'm going to think about this. I'm going to mourn some, and then I will get back out there, so to speak. If your ex sees you so soon after just dating again, even if there was somebody else, it's a hypocritical thing if that's the case, but they will sometimes look and think that you must not have cared that much about the relationship anyway, or it will just make them think that you're immature, things like that. There's usually just a bunch of negatives around it. And I know it seems like the strong thing to do, and I'm saying after 2 or 3 months, yes, then there's no need for you to apologize for it or to feel badly about it at all. You should, if you are ready, you should get back out there. You should date again. It makes sense, and it's best for you. But it's also best for you to give yourself that 2 or 3 months. Not only does it give a chance for the smoke to clear between you and your ex to where maybe they learn something. They have some of that time and no contact can work on them and they can see things differently and doubt the breakup and reach out to you. Those things take time. But it's also best for you because you get to heal to where you can participate in a committed relationship that usually starts casually, but you have a pathway inside of you to be able to be in that relationship instead of making every relationship you've had shallow by just jumping into another one very quickly. But for the sake of this video, it usually pushes your ex away and lowers your chances of getting back together with them. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.